Well, it's summertime here in Nebraska, and that means summer scouting. I know a lot of people have questions on if they should go out and scout in the summer, if it's worth it, if it's as good as scouting in the spring in January and February. And it's probably not the most ideal time to do it. It's probably not as good as January or February, but you can still get all the information that you need. Alright, so I was walking along here. One thing in the summer that you can't get in really the spring or the fall that can help you out, just let you know that deer are in the area, is if you look at the tops of all of these plants, they've all been eaten off. So there's deer coming through this area just using this, I don't even know what this plant is, some sort of a weed down here in this creek bottom that they're using as native browse, natural browse. So that just lets you know there's deer coming through on a pretty regular basis because it's being eaten pretty heavily, at least the tops of it are. So another sign that there's deer down here. We've seen tracks and we bumped a couple does or deer already anyways. And the first thing, and I think maybe one of the most important things when you're hunting either private property or public land, is just getting used to the property and knowing how the property lays out and where the deer like to be. So every time that you get on a piece of property, like just walking it today, and then if we come back and we hang a trail camera down here, and then if we start hunting it, every time we get on this piece of public land, we're learning more and more about it. We're getting more familiar with it. We're learning the lay of the land just that much better. So it's just a matter of getting on that piece of public over and over again to start to put those pieces together. That big piece of public land that we've been hunting the last couple of years, the river stand, the high wall stand, that piece of public land was a piece of public land. It took us 2 or 3 years because it was really big to kind of figure out and hone in on where the bucks like to hang out, and now we've kind of figured it out. So that's what we're going to do with this piece of public, or any piece of public, is just spend some time on it, because that is really what helps you get familiar with where the deer like to be, where the pinch points are, where the food sources are, how the deer like to move through the property. So just getting familiar with the piece of public land is something that we're trying to do and accomplish with our summer scouting. And one other thing that we're trying to accomplish with our summer scouting is locating hunting pressure. So as you're scouting and walking around, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because the leaves are on the trees and stuff, but look for other hunters' tree stands and signs that other hunters are hunting in the area so that you can avoid those spots. So that's what we're trying to do as well, is locate that hunting pressure, and then so we know it, we can stay away from it then. So we're looking, just get familiar with the property, and there's big buck tracks right here on this muddy old trail. So anyways, we're looking for just getting familiar with the property and then locating the hunting pressure as well. So one other thing that we're trying to accomplish with our summer scouting is finding beds and buck beds. And that can be a little bit difficult, but sometimes it's made a little bit easier, because in this tall brome grass, especially in these creek bottoms, river bottom settings, they'll mat that grass down and it's actually really easy to see. So those are things you can look for when you're in these river bottom, kind of creek bottom habitats, is look for that matted down grass, because that means a deer, a buck, or a doe is bedded there. Those are the things we look for too in identifying a buck bed. So it's by itself, see a tree at his back, a high spot, he's using the terrain, which bucks do more so than does do. Does bed in those big groups, and he's looking out over an open spot. So now we're going to use this to our advantage. Now that we're in this buck bed, we're going to use it to our advantage to find a spot where he can't see us, but we can still get close to him. So rubs and scrapes are obviously hard to see this time of year, so we're not even really focusing on looking for those as we're walking. If we see one, good. If we see a big one on a cedar tree, then we know we're probably in a good spot. But as far as actively looking for rubs and scrapes when we're doing our summer scouting, we're not really paying much attention to those. One thing I know for summer scouting that's hard to do is pick out tree stand locations. So when some of the things we're trying to accomplish as far as tree stands and tree stand locations go in the summer while we're doing our summer scouting, it's basically just finding a general location. You can find a spot that's open where you know, hey, I'm gonna be able to get in that tree, that'll work out perfect, then you're good to go. But a lot of times, there's more leaves on the trees, all that stuff now than in the fall. So it's hard to pick that tree stand location and know, hey, this is exactly where I want to be, because I can see this trail pretty clearly. There's rubs here, scrapes here. You're not going to be able to see it. So the main thing we're doing as far as tree stand locations when we're doing summer scouting is we're looking for deer sign and deer movement, that sort of stuff first, and then we're just finding general locations for a tree stand. So you might just say, there's this little area, you know, 1 acre little area, half an acre area that I know I want to be, or just off the end of this ridge or off the end of this point before it drops down into the bottom. That's where I want to be. Just mark it. And then when you come in to do a hang and hunt, or you come in to hang your stands in the fall, you can have a general area, and then when things kind of look more like they're going to, then you can pick your specific tree. So that's all we're doing here today, and what we're going to do when we summer scout all summer is just find general locations for tree stands. If we can find a tree, good. If not, we have a general location we can come right back to. We're not walking through and scouting as we go. So when you're doing that summer scouting, don't necessarily worry about finding the perfect tree. Find the perfect general area, and then, like we talked about last year even, you're probably gonna have to move around within that area anyway. So don't get set or caught up on a specific tree. Look for more of the perfect area when you're doing your summer scouting. There's a few tips for kind of what to accomplish, at least during your summer scouting. So it's not going to be the same type of scouting as you would in the spring or in the fall, because you don't have some of that sign, things aren't as visible, but you can still do some things to help you be more successful in the fall. So it's like looking for that hunting pressure, just getting familiar with a piece of public land, looking for those buck beds in the taller grass, and then just kind of getting general locations for your tree stand. You don't need the actual tree, you just need a good location so that you can come back to it in the fall. So there's some things to think about, concentrate on as you do some scouting over the summer, getting ready for the fall. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.